In the heart of North America, the gateway to the West rises above St. Louis and the Mississippi River. Not far north, the Missouri River flows into the Mississippi. Steamboats once plied these waters, carrying manufactured goods from the east and travelers heading west. Churning their way upstream on the Missouri, they deposited passengers and cargo at landings that spawned new cities. For some, the journey continued westward, following a prairie pathway into land where the Osage, Kaw, and the Pawnee had long roamed in pursuit of large game. Crossing through rolling hills of tall grass, they moved on west to find another river and follow it across the plains. Some then branched off to the southwest, crossing a landscape where water could be in short supply. Others continued on west, stopping by a privately owned trading post before heading up and over a rugged mountain pass. Both routes came together again near a remote army outpost, passing by the remnants of an ancient Pueblo village before descending through the last pass and arriving at their journey's end in Santa Fe.
Unlike the immigrant trails to Oregon and California, the Santa Fe Trail involved the transport of trade goods and a commercial exchange of international extent. It started out in central Missouri, crossing through what was then Indian territory between the United States and Mexico, whose border extended much farther north than it does today. A quarter century later, the U.S. Army marched down the trail to confront Mexican forces, which resulted in a significant expansion of American territory. Commerce on the trail came to an end when the railroads built across the middle of the nation, providing a cheaper and easier mode of transport.
For 27 years, I served as the host of a series called Sunflower Journeys, broadcast by public television stations across Kansas and western Missouri. Early on in that series, I produced a short story about the Santa Fe Trail, which in 1987, Congress had designated a National Historic Trail.
In this program, we're taking a longer journey through time to explore the historical significance of the trail, reflecting upon the impact it had upon indigenous populations and the manner in which it brought people from a variety of cultures into closer contact with each other.
My grandfather's grandfather got a job wrangling mules to pull a freight wagon down the trail not long after he got off the steamboat at Independence, Missouri in 1857. Then he settled down to farm not far off the trail near Council Grove, in a territory that would soon become the state of Kansas.
Well, Council Grove is probably one of the key points on the trail. Treaty was signed here with the Osage Indians in 1825 to open the trail so that the Indians gave permission to travelers to not bother them. And then because of the hardwood trees that were here for supplies for axle trees and so on, it became a rendezvous point. And soon after the trail was started, traders would come sort of separately to this point because they felt safe from Indians to this point. And then from this point on, they wanted to be, travel together, provide their own protection. But it was the rendezvous point on the trail for a long period of time.
A founding member of the Santa Fe Trail Association and one of the foremost authorities on the history of the trail, Leo Oliva came to Council Grove to deliver a public presentation about the trail. Although Council Grove is widely recognized as a significant rendezvous point on the Santa Fe Trail, the trail originated further east in Missouri. The first person to lead a successful trading expedition to Santa Fe, William Becknell, started out from the small town of Franklin.
Franklin was one of the earliest towns founded on the Missouri River in the center part of Missouri, and it was because of the Boone's Lick salt lick. The Boone family, the children of Daniel Boone, some of his sons came out. There was a good salt lick near Franklin, and the town of Franklin was established there then in 1816. William Becknell came there first to work at that salt lick, and then he had a farm near Franklin. He got into debt. He was facing debtor's prison because that was common at that time to place people that couldn't pay their debts in prison. And he had heard rumors, as had others, that Mexico was in a war with Spain for their independence. And he also had heard rumors that when Mexico became independent, that trade would be welcomed in New Mexico. So Becknell and 5 others with pack horses, they set out in early September of 1821